All right. Happy Monday. I know that that's actually an oxymoron, but happy Monday anyway. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, God, I can't talk. For those who are new to the channel, I put out daily news videos, just pretty much just read the news, and if I have thoughts, I'll mention them briefly. I don't go into much depth. Um, but if there is a news article that you want me to go more in depth on, or if I don't cover something that you think should be covered, by all means put it in the comments below. And with that, and I also do more pithy videos. I just did one on, cultural issues like, how is it that being childless makes a woman less than? Or I recently did a video on a guy who is suing a woman in Singapore because she had the audacity not to sleep with him, that she just wanted to be friends. So, yeah, I do both types of videos. Um, and if you like that sort of thing on either side, by all means subscribe. And with that, let's get into the daily news. All right, let us start with the world. Rescuers in Turkey pulled out several people alive from collapsed buildings and were digging to reach a grandmother, mother, and daughter from a single family, a week after the country's worst earthquake in modern history. And a lot of the first responders don't understand why there's a lack of food, water, medicine, body bags, and cranes in the disaster zone. So apparently the response has been very slow, and because the first responders are bewildered, obviously it's not a logistics issue of getting the resources to those areas. There's got to be some other reason, like, oh, I don't know, either incompetence or they just don't give a shit. I don't know. But either way, not a good look if you want to run for re-election. I'm looking at you, Erdogan. Not a good look. But, he's kind of, trying to destroy democracy in Turkey. So, in that regard, yeah, keep doing what you're doing or not doing, because maybe you'll be voted out of office and we'll have someone who actually cares about democracy at the helm. All right. Russia said its troops had pushed forward a few kilometers along the front lines in Ukraine, while Kyiv said its forces had repelled Russian attacks in several areas. As the first anniversary of the Russian invasion neared, much of the fighting was taking place around the eastern city of Bakhmut, still in Ukrainian hands and amid a month-long battle. So we keep hoping, at least I keep hoping, that the war will end either with Russia, getting a clue and just stopping the invasion, or just I think it would take Putin's death. I really do. Because at this point Putin has attached his manhood to this. So yeah, he's not going to quit. He doesn't. you could probably be the last person in Russia and you would still be trying to invade Ukraine because his ego won't let him stop. All right. Israeli lawmakers traded insults over government plans to overhaul the judiciary while tens of thousands of protesters gathered outside parliament as President Isaac Herzog warned the country risked tipping into constitutional collapse. Yeah, well, this is what happens when you deal with right-wingers who seem to think that unless everybody kowtows to them, they're enemies. So, remind you of anyone? Okay. Residents in New Zealand's largest city of Auckland and the surrounding areas are being told to brace for more heavy rain, flooding, and gale force winds, and some homes are being evacuated as Cyclone Gabrielle nears the country's coast. I honestly thought it was already there. Maybe it was just in Australia. But anyway, like this city needs this country needs more rain. All right. At least 4,815 children were sexually abused by members of the Portuguese Catholic Church, mostly priests, over the past 70 years, a commission investigating the issue said in its final report. How is anyone still Catholic at this point? I mean, seriously. Even if you believe in the doctrine, the Catholic doctrine, there's been so much rampant abuse. How is anyone following the Catholic Church anymore? I mean, start over, rename the church, get rid of all these horrible, horrible priests, change the name, maybe something to show that, you don't support an institution that abuses kids. Maybe there's that. All right. So moving on to U.S. news. The U.S. military fighter jet shot down an octagonal object over Lake Huron, the Pentagon said, the latest incident since a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon put North American security forces on high alert. Now, from what I've read, from what I've heard actually, the military and NORAD have tweaked their system so they can find these objects easier. Whereas before they weren't too concerned, I guess. That they weren't as concerned as they are now. So some people are questioning, is there more objects, or are we just better at finding them now? Which neither one sounds particularly good. On the one hand, oh yeah, there have been people spying without our knowledge for eons, but we're only discovering them now, as opposed to there's more of them. Neither one is a good look. Neither one is good. But for those who don't know where Lake Huron is, that is the Great Lake between Michigan and the Canadian border. So, all right. Patrick Mahomes proved why he is the NFL's most valuable player as he shrugged off an ankle injury to lead the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, I'm to say Chiefs. To a drastic... Why can I not read? To a dramatic 38-35 win over the Philadelphia Eagles to claim the second Super Bowl in 4 years. And there were 2 historic firsts. at the Super Bowl. Both quarterbacks are black, which has never happened before. And there was, of course, they always have the flyover, the Air Force flyover before the game after the national anthem, and it was an all-female crew. All right. President Joe Biden appealed to Republicans and Democratic governors to continue working across political divides to improve Americans' lives and rebuild the economy after the hardships brought by the COVID pandemic. Speaking at a black-tie dinner at the White House, Biden said the passage of laws on investing in infrastructure and domestic manufacture of semiconductors was evidence of some bipartisan progress. Republicans say they would not cut Social Security and Medicare programs, but everything else is on the table in talks over raising government borrowing limits, House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer said. Now, I've been reading that Biden is sticking with the talking point that Republicans do want to cut these programs, and anyone who's been paying even the slightest bit of attention to politics over the years knows that that is what they've been wanting to do. And despite the fact that at the State of the Union they were so wholeheartedly claiming that they're against it. And apparently the Republican officials are frustrated that Biden is sticking with that talking point because members of your caucus are still saying it. Like my senator, Ron Johnson, which I think I'm going to have to wash my mouth out after saying those words. He calls Social Security a Ponzi scheme. Now, Biden specifically said that not all Republicans wanted to do this. So, basically, the Republicans are proving him right because they just cannot shut up about it. Now, it might be true that the Republican leaders don't want to gut it. I mean, I guess that's possible that they realize that, oh, not a good idea. But there's plenty of people in their caucus that are making noise despite their denials at the State of the Union that, yeah, Biden can actually continue to say that because, well, he's not wrong. Because Republicans have been saying this for years. Alright, police in Raleigh, North Carolina released video showing the events that led to the death of an unarmed black man last month after officers repeatedly discharged stun guns on him. I have no idea if I've heard of this before. There's been so many, which is sad that I can say that there's been so many that I have no idea if I've heard of this story before. Okay, moving on to business and markets. A Russian scheme to grant loan payment holidays to troops fighting in Ukraine and for banks to write off the entire debt if they are killed or maimed has added to growing pressure for the remaining overseas lenders in Russia to leave. I just find it sad and hilarious that what's getting overseas lenders to leave Russia is not the principle of the fact that they invaded a sovereign country or that or a problem with Putin's politics. It's because that they might lose money. Yeah, capitalism. Okay, India's market regulation is set to brief the federal government on its investigation into Adani Group's shelved sale purchase. Wait, let's try that again. shelved share sale. I love alliteration, but oh my God, is that a tongue twister? Two sources said. Let me just read that sentence again. India's market regulator is set to brief the federal government on its investigation into Adani Group's shelved share sale, two sources said, thrusting the watchdog into the limelight in a week when its laws also face scrutiny by the nation's top court. As surprise gives way to scrutiny of the men who set to lead Japan's central bank for the next 5 years, investors are dialing back bets on swift shifts away from super easy policy settings, which I read it to mean govern, damn it. Slashed prices have given Tesla's China sales a pop, but analysts and even fans warn the U.S. automaker needs to up its long-term game to avoid choking on the dust of fast-moving rivals in the world's biggest electric vehicle market. South Korean startup Rebellions launched an artificial intelligence chip today, racing to win government contracts as Seoul seeks a place for local companies in the exploding AI industry. And finally, the former boss of Wirecard expressed his deepest regret over the collapse of the defunct payments company, but denied all allegations as he took the stand in Germany's biggest post-war fraud trial. All right, and with that, I am done with this edition. Again, if you have any items that you want to share with me, or any items that you want me to go more in depth than what I have, just put it in the comments below. And if you like this content, by all means subscribe to my channel. And with that, I will see you tomorrow.